Alright, so I guess we're nearing the end of Shidou's route. And I guess we're gonna play the final game? Maybe? I don't know. Well, this is the last time I'll see this room. It made me a little sad. I only been there a week and it had been a stressful week, but I got kind of attached. Well, technically, well, there's been a recording gap, so I can't remember everything. But I think, like, technically, like, Hogstein got angry, right? And then he's like, "Oh, you cheated! Now I'm gonna murder everyone." Or not really. Actually, no. Now I remember. Last time we were at the animal rhythm music game park attraction, right? And then Hogstein was like, "Oh, did you figure out the mystery of why I gave you all these little notes every time you win a game? Technically, we lost the hospital one, so we didn't get all the notes. We just have a date of the accident that somehow all these six people, six Bishonen husbandos are somehow related to this accident of a bus and a car, and I guess a third party. I guess we learned from Miyoshi as well, another car. You know, 2 cars, 1 bus." And Hogstein was like, "Oh, you lose," you know, because he didn't answer the question right or whatever. But technically, well, we could still win one more game and escape, but obviously, maybe everyone else will have a plan to free everyone else as well. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for everything, says Saki. Here's another weird mime piglet. My initial hypothesis were that they were maybe employees of the park, but maybe they're weird robots. I don't know. I don't know what they are. After a moment of surprise, the piglet responded with a series of gestures that seemed to mean, "Oh no, don't worry about it." I got pretty good at understanding them, huh? Well, maybe. Really, I was just guessing what they were probably saying, based on whatever I said. My phone dinged, and I looked down to see if I got a text from my uncle. He's always so positive. Wow. I smiled with a renewed determination. I sent off a quick reply. "I'm gonna end this whole thing today." I've also, in between sessions, I guess, I've also fiddled the filter, you know? So I add like a different upscale filter. Maybe it'll help, because I did notice while I was editing the videos that it looked a little blurry. So I was like, well, I changed the resolution back to normal, original size. Obviously a PSP is very small, so doing that makes all the text a little blurry. So maybe the filter might help? I don't know. Hopefully it does. Subaru was talking with the piglets in the lobby. The piglet said something and moved off out of the room. Morning. So, what was that about? Is everything alright? Yeah. Is that what you were asking about? It looked like you were having a real conversation. Well, I guess Moishi. What? Moishi? You know, I've noticed as I played more of this game, especially on later parts, you know, on the different routes, there's way more typos for some reason. I guess Meoshi, not Moeshi, Meoshi isn't the only one who's figured out their weird sign language. I was thinking that I probably overestimated my own grasp of the piglet language when the rest of our team walked in with Mai and Shirobei hand in hand. He looked slowly across our assembled faces, meeting each person's gaze.
ここから脱出するぞ。
Okay.
俺たちは生き残る。誰一人欠けることなくだ。行くぞ。
So, I'm just looking at the OBS preview. Yeah, hopefully I can upscale filter a little better. Anyway. With a cheer, we headed for the hotel exit. I feel like this playthrough has not always, but like I've always been just like fiddling with the settings and everything. It's just all over the place when it comes to the actual visual quality. Oh well, just to be safe, we left Mai with the piglets to the restaurant and headed toward the main plaza. As soon as we arrived, he was waiting for us, or at least his voice was. Even if I'd managed to figure out what the piglets meant, the count was still a mystery. He frowned.
もしこのゲームをクリアできたら、モニター越しではなく、直接お前に合わせろ。よろしい。私のブルタワーにお招きすることをお約束しましょう。でも今日のアトラクションはまさに傑作。最終日にふさわしい出来なのです。皆さんが今まで温めてきた絆が今まさに試される時。果たしてクリアできるかな。それでは向かってください。最後の決戦マッチ。
I guess the Warriors Arena. It's the fighting game one. The one we didn't really get to experience in Mayoshi's route. Even though he was like probably the best fighting game player there. Well, with a click he was gone. Our bonds will be tested. I mean, if I know fighting games, it's funny, it's like a metaphor for real life. But definitely fighting games tend to break these bonds of friendship very easily, actually. And someone is very good at the fighting game, and then they just murder everyone else. Everyone gets salty, and they never become friends ever again. But we all nodded and made our way toward the final attraction. Gotta fight for the Holy Grail? It's a battle royale?
今日のアトラクションの元になったゲームだけど。
最後くらい俺に言わせてくれよ。
Mitarashi was practically jumping up and down with excitement. He'd spent the last several days cooped up, and now that he was out, he was bursting with energy.
どうぞ。
よし、任せとけ。今日のアトラクションはだな。円卓コロシアムナイツ4だ。
Miyoshi sighed.
元になったのはアーサー王伝説をモチーフにした対戦格闘ゲームで、アーサー王が死んだ後、灼熱の魔界と化したキャメロットを舞台に
I can't believe Saber's dead.
12人の円卓の騎士が聖剣エクスカリバーをめぐって戦いを繰り広げるって内容だ。チャクラって弱点をつくことで大技が出せる爽快感が受けて大ヒットしたんだぜ。
まあ、教えたのは僕だけどね。
どうでもいいだろ、あんなことはよ。
メオシ、確かお前さん対戦格闘ゲームが得意だったな。頼んだぜ。
任せて。
He nodded, a bit more confident than usual.
このゲーム、僕が格闘神って呼ばれるきっかけになったゲームなんだ。
But again, because these games are not equivalent to actually playing on like a controller or anything, I don't imagine you are gonna be fighting with like a fight stick, Anyway, what? Well, I guess you got a good reason to feel confident then. How about that?
それは頼もしいな。頼りにしているぞ。
It doesn't equal actual fighting skill.
ああ、
I imagine that's what's gonna happen. Like take a real sword and slash at each other and murder each other. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't press buttons and move a joystick. That's all I'm saying. At least I don't think so. Maybe it is. As we reached the attraction, the sky got dark and clouds began to gather.
渦巻くアトラクションだ。いかにもラストっぽいじゃねえか。
The building in front of us looked like an old broken down coliseum. A sword and scabbard made a huge X over the entrance. Is that Excalibur? Excalibur! I barely had time to think that when Count Hogstein's voice echoed across the courtyard. I just think of face thing, you know, when you're talking about King Arthur. Several piglets appeared to guide us in. Maybe it is using controllers. Never mind. What kind of controllers are that? Is it like VR, you know? You gotta like fight in VR or something? On the other side of the door was an indoor arena decorated in the medieval European style. There was a sort of stage in the center of the room surrounded by amphitheater style, amphitheater style seats filled with piglets.
やれやれ大入り満員だな。
とはいえこんなにいるのに誰も一言も喋らないからなんかちょっと不気味だね。
Yeah. Even when they were just there to be an audience, apparently the piglets were still on duty.
さあ、円卓の騎士たちよ。政権の栄誉に群がる浅ましき者どもを打ち倒し、エクスカリバーの元を目指せ。
Oh, look at the size of those guys. That's what she said. One of the three huge piglets that had just appeared climbed onto the stage and strapped on gloves and shin guards. You're gonna fight the piglet. Okay, I thought we were gonna fight each other. I mean, that would be like a cruel twist, but I guess not.
面白い。本物の殴り合いってわけか。
He cracked his knuckles, grinned, and leapt up onto the stage.
気をつけろ。おそらくただの殴り合いじゃないはずだ。
おうよ。
Just like the piglet had done, Mitarashi strapped on gloves and shin guards. I don't think he's really all healed yet, so I hope he'll be okay. I realized I was holding my breath. I forced myself to let it out.
相手の急所を見極め、チャクラをついて倒せ。
Okay. As soon as the announcer finished, a huge screen flickered to life. On it were the outlines of two human bodies. The piglet's silhouette had a star on its stomach, and Mitarashi had one on his shoulder. On top of the screen, each had a bar for their health.
Fight!
Fight! Round one! The wheels of fate are turning. They didn't even give us a chance to figure out the rules before the fight started.
行くぜ。ほら。
Mitarashi charged, his fist flew straight for the piglet's face. But it dodged lightly around the punch and reached out to gently tap one of Mitarashi's shoulders. And then he dies. Mitarashi! He screamed horribly and fell to his knees, his back arched in pain as far as it would go.
なんだ今のは。
I guess it was an electric shock.
Down.
A full third fell off of Mitarashi's health bar.
くそ。なんだってんだ。体中に電流が走りやがった。しびれるぜ、こいつは。
He shook his head and blinked hard, then climbed to his feet.
そうかチャクラだゲームと同じならあの星が互いの弱点になる
Chakra weak points. Now I'm just thinking of Naruto. You know, there's one character in Naruto that's all about that. You know, about like poking chakra weak points. What's his name? Neji or something? He had like white pupils. That's all I remember about that character. The star on Mitarashi's shoulder moved down to his stomach.
流星気をつけろ映像の星と同じ場所を攻撃されると電流が流れる仕組みになっているようだ
なるほどな。
I guess it also reminds me of Hokuto no Ken, you know? You go "Ah-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta," and then they explode. He threw another punch, but the piglet dodged that one too and lashed out his foot. He caught the piglet's foot with his elbow and managed to avoid the main force of the blow, but the very tip of the foot brushed against his stomach. Judge leads up, boop, and then he's just dead. No! His whole body convulsed again as he collapsed to the floor. His health bar dropped again down to a single third.
殴り合いじゃない。星の触り合い。腕っぷしよりもフットワークと反射神経の勝負だ。
I don't know, boxing does require a bit of finesse too. Should have been. I guess it depends on your style.
大体つかめたぜ。
He stood up again, but he was starting to look a little wobbly. The star had moved to his right breast. Yes, right breast.
ただ突っ込んでもダメだ。頭を使え、流星。
But Mitarashi didn't hear or didn't care and leapt straight toward the piglet, his fist out. Oh no! As just as before, his opponent dodged easily and struck at his weak point. Mitarashi's health bar dropped again almost to zero, but
なってたぜ。
forcing himself to ignore the pain of the electric shock, Mitarashi grabbed both of the piglet's arms. He slammed his head into the surprised piglet's face with a sickening crunch. It toppled the ground unconscious. Okay, you just physically just knocked him out instead of, virtually.
肉を切らせて骨を断つってな。
I don't know if you... Well, we'll see. Yes! As far as we could tell, KO meant the piglet had lost despite having a full health bar.
すごい。星に関係なく強引に勝っちゃった。
Really?
まあ、ある意味頭は使ったが。
Ah, yes, of course. Mitarashi's movements were a little shaky as he made his way down off the stage and back to us.
お疲れさん。
気をつけろ。多分ガキどもなら一発で伸びちまうほど鋭利だぜ。
Mitarashi. But he already collapsed to the floor unconscious. I ran over to him as the second piglet stepped up onto the stage. Who's going to go next? Okay, I guess it does count. I was gonna think it was gonna be a twist where, like, technically Mitarashi lost. He lost the virtual game. He just, knocked someone else in real life, but he lost the actual game. But I guess not. Maybe he just won anyway. Who cares? Screw the rules. Screw the rules. He is big muscle man.
前にも言ったけど、反射神経には自信がある。それに、どう戦うべきか、このゲームに慣れてる僕にはわかる。
I guess that kind of implies that this is normally how people play this game, I guess. Weird, like, I guess not really virtual reality, it's kind of like augmented reality, I guess what we call it, You don't wear like VR goggles or anything.
お前の反射神経どうこうじゃない。あまりにも危険だ。
Is it augmented or is it alternate?
でも、さんって格闘士
AR,
任せちゃってもいいんじゃない？
まあ確かにな。この中で一番可能性があるのは目押しかもしれん。
Subaru looked over at me and I could see uncertainty in his eyes. What should I say? Subaru should do it? We have to trust him? I mean, I feel like the correct thing to say is just to trust people, right? We have to trust them.
確かにそうかもしれないな。
He sighed. Okay, oh actually maybe that's the wrong one. Oh well.
チームだ。互いを信頼し、みんなの力を合わせて危険を乗り越えるべきだ。
He gave Miyoshi's shoulder an almost fatherly squeeze.
頼む。お前に任せたい。
Miyoshi climbed slowly up onto the stage. After he finished putting on his gloves and shin guards, another silhouette appeared on the screen. This time, the pelican star was on his shoulder, and Miyoshi's was on his left leg. Fight! You can do it, Miyoshi. We're just on the sidelines. This is like a typical shonen anime, and we're just the audience members. We're just saying things as the actual fighters are actually, fighting. The piglet started to move immediately, its feet dancing back and forth as it circled, but Miyoshi just stood there. It lashed out with a powerful kick, but Miyoshi dodged it easily, like he was just playing some sort of rhythm game. Ninja step? What? Apparently he named that particular step after watching Miyoshi dash down the corridor of hate on the first day. The piglet's body language became more agitated and struck again and again, but Miyoshi dodged everyone with ease. Its frustration clearly mounting, the piglet's attack became more desperate, until it finally let itself open. Miyoshi ducked in and tapped his shoulder. With a shudder, the piglet fell to the floor. Down. It really is more like a boxing match, though. You know, this is like they set up this coliseum, how like they're gonna get the Excalibur, you know, because you play as the Knights of the Round Table, but you're not really using swords. Yeah, I imagine you'd be using swords as knights, but it's more like a pugilism match. The health bar over the piglet's silhouette dropped by a third. It shook its head and moved to get up. But
悪いね。でもこれはスポーツじゃない。ダウン追撃は格闘ゲームの勝負だ。
no, that's a mean tactic. He lunged in and before the piglet could scramble out of the way, touched the leg the star had moved to. Dead. Wow, that was easy. I guess they don't call him Ares for nothing.
圧倒的だな。
Gosh, they don't call you Ares for nothing. That's what I said. That's what I said, Saki. He didn't respond, just got back into position as the final piglet climbed up onto the stage. Okay, he's gonna do a second match. Yeah. Just as before, Miyoshi's strikes and dodges were deft and well-timed. But perhaps because his piglet had seen what had happened to his compatriot, Miyoshi couldn't manage to land a hit. It was looking like a stalemate until I noticed something. Wait, is Miyoshi kind of wavering? Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if he plays... I don't know if the... In the world, is this the game that he would play? Because I imagine he doesn't have a lot of stamina, right? So I don't know if he could be called Ares for playing this kind of game. Unless he takes breaks in between, maybe, I don't know.
スタミナ切れか。早っ。
The piglet chose that moment to throw out an almost lazy kick at Miyoshi's stomach. Miyoshi bent over his stomach, and the piglet wasted no time reaching for the star on his shoulder. Miyoshi! He dived on the side and rolled out of the way to attack, and right off the stage. Ring out? There's a ring out? No one told me that. No one told us anything about ring outs. He slammed a fist into the floor. Every time, Miyoshi! I guess it's in character. He's kind of a screw-up. He always like, oh, I'm the best gamer ever. But then when he actually does it in practice, he just fails at every single one of them. Like, I mean, he has his moments where he acts all cool and everything, but almost immediately after, he just kind of fails. So, it's just a pattern, I guess. I mean, it kind of fits his story when you think about it.
よくやった。お前のおかげで攻略法が分かった。あとは俺に任せろ。
He balled his hands into fists and glared at the piglet as he stepped up onto the stage. You can do it!
Why?
Why? With a grunt, Subaru settled into a fighting stance. Actually, what I said before, Subaru, that is the car company. I thought it was like Subaru, but that's not a real thing. It's actually it is Subaru. Subaru is like a car company. By the way, I just remembered because I looked it up. His opponent stepped in for an attack, but Subaru slid to the side and the piglet's fist flew past harmlessly. With minimal movement, he expertly avoided the next attack and the next. Kendo? But Kendo is with a sword. You know, with a shinai. That's not... He tapped his forehead.
警察学校で剣道か柔道を学ぶ必要があるからスバルのやつも
Actually, judo would probably be more effective. You know, I don't know how you would... Unless they mean kendo in some other way, because kendo in Japanese is the way of the sword, right? The path of the sword, or whatever. That makes no sense. They're not using swords, are they? I don't think they describe them using swords. I mean, it would make sense if they are using swords, like little you know, like toy swords maybe to fight each other in this like virtual augmented reality fighting game. It's kind of cool, actually. This is kind of cool. I imagine in real life, though, if you put this in practice, people will hurt each other very easily if you made this type of game in real life. But it is a cool idea. But at the same time, he's not using a sword. That makes no sense. Kendo is... Anyway. I did Kendo in university. At least a little bit. I'm not very good at it, but I did like the basic, you know, stuff, basic lessons. You use a sword. you know, it doesn't help you like in unarmed combat. Maybe with footwork. There wasn't anything unnecessary in these movements. He didn't just have training, he was good. He lunged skillfully forward, through the piglet's guard, and delivered a hard chop to its neck. Yeah, I don't remember chopping people with my hand in Kendo. I don't know. I don't remember doing that. The piglet stumbled back as the sound of electricity crackled through the air.
今返す手で星をついた。
さっきの戦いを見ていて気づいたことがある。
So I don't know if it's like a mistranslation, or maybe I'm thinking like different kendos. Like maybe there's like a double meaning. I don't know.
星を狙うあまり動きが単調なんだ。狙われる場所があらかじめ分かっていれば避けることは造作もない。
Why are you telling? You shouldn't tell everyone this because now everyone's gonna know the secret, including the piglet. The piglet crumpled to the floor, or crumbled. Oh.
首への強烈な一撃と電流であっという間に KO ですか。
Subaru sighed and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Oh, is that it? Only 3 rounds? Or rather 3 enemies? That was kind of easy, to be honest. I didn't even do anything as like Saki. We didn't do like explosive inside. We didn't even participate. We were just like sitting on the sidelines, doing nothing, just twiddling our thumbs. The voice of the announcer echoed through the amphitheater. That was great! Mitarashi had recovered enough to throw Subaru a thumbs up.
ひとまず流星とコータの回復を待って次に行こう。
But I guess there's more, maybe. Maybe there's like a second part. Everyone agreed, but as we sat down, the announcer began to speak again.
二手に分かれ政権を目指して進めそのもの命を共にする盟友とならん
Two doors at the back of the room opened. The implication was clear.
恒例のチーム分けか。別々の仕掛けや罠があってどこかでまた合流するんだろう。どう分かれる？
さっき一緒に行こう。
No. Fine. Okay. It's your route, so I can't say no. As I nodded, he reached out and took a hold of my hand.
なんか怪しくない？なんで手とか繋いでんの？
Yeah, that's lewd. My god, holding hands. We both let go, extremely embarrassed. But it was too late. All eyes were on us.
お前らいつの間に
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
隅に
Yeah, it's kind of like,
警部ほどの
I don't know, I find it pretty funny, actually. Like all this, like, this big harem, you know, and then Shidou just snuck in there,
これはその
grabbed the girl. Wait, does this mean they all fake work together? I felt my heart flutter as I watched him try and explain what was going on. I mean, he never said anything about, oh gosh, but he didn't say no either. I mean, didn't you already kiss? Didn't you smooch already? I remember CG where you smooched. And yet, you're still wondering if you're still together. No, what am I thinking? This is no time to be worrying about whether he's my boyfriend or not. I squeezed my eyes shut and shook my head to clear it, but I must have been daydreaming longer than I thought, because the groups had been decided. Subaru and Shirobei will go with me, and Mitarashi, Wakasa, Miyoshi, and Urobei will be the other team.
よし合流地点で会おう。
おうよ
We split up and headed to our respective doors. I feel, our group, I think, has less people, which is weird, but I guess maybe because Mitarashi is kind of like still healing, and Miyoshi kind of ran out of stamina, so they have more people just to make up for that, maybe. I don't know. Once through, we found ourselves in a pitch black hallway.
参ったな。右も左も分かりやしない。
壁に手をつきながら進むぞ。
Right. Oh, I felt Subaru's warm hand wrap around mine.
大丈夫か？
More hand holding in the dark. How degenerate, how degenerate? What's the adjective for degenerate? Degenerative? Anyway. His voice was quiet and close. I could almost feel his breath on my ear. I should say something. Okay. Either you say the normal thing, or do you say the, the romantic thing? Okay, fine. Yeah, as long as I'm with you.
ああ、俺もお前がいれば平気だ。お前を守りたいと思うこの気持ちが俺をより冷静にしてくれる。
Alright. I felt his grip on my hand tighten. After a few more turns, we saw a dim light somewhere ahead.
あれが次の舞台か。
おそらくそうだろう。行こう。
In front of us was a dimly lit stage of a large screen stretching across the middle. It's kinda creepy in here. Imoy. There was another set of gloves and shin guards up on the stage. We're gonna have to fight again?
さあ、円卓の騎士たちよ。王者の証たるエクスカリバーをかけて覇権を争うのだ。
どうやらさっきと仕組みは同じようだが。
敵がいないな。
Maybe they're hiding out there in the darkness.
まあいい。今回は俺が行こう。
いや、俺が行く。
He held out a hand that stopped Shinobe.
さっきの戦いで大体の感覚はつかめた。だが、もし俺が負けたその時には、あなたに全てを託したい。
互いを信頼した上で可能性が高い方を選択するか。お前さんらしいな。よし、気をつけろよ。
Be careful! As he stepped onto the stage, the screen flickered to life, displaying an image of a piglet. Okay, that's like a giant mobile phone. Or smartphone? Mobile phone? Are smartphones mobile phones? You call them mobile phones? I guess you just call them smartphones nowadays. Anyway, in front of the piglet, though, was an image of a Subaru's back. Okay, is that what it is? It's hard to tell. So I guess you'll be fighting through this monitor instead of in person this time.
センサーか何かで画面の中と連動しているようだな。
Subaru settled into his fighting stance again. The whole game is different. It doesn't have the health bar or the stars.
新しく600ってタイマーが表示されてる。さっきの戦いとは少し違うようだな。
Fight! Okay. The battle had begun, but the piglet didn't seem to be moving.
なんだ？敵が動かないの。
The timer is counting down. Subaru tried another chop at his opponent's neck, but the piglet dodged it easily. He pressed forward with his attack, but the figure on the screen avoided each strike with easy, rhythmic steps. And suddenly it attacked. Subaru! Oh, he's just dead. Okay.
おいおい、もしかして今回は触れればそれが全て電流攻撃になるのか？こりゃ下手すると死んじまうぞ。
No. The piglet wasn't waiting for Subaru to get up and lashed out with another attack. He dodged and countered with an attack of his own. Down. This is a funny way to say down. I think that's what they say in boxing, actually, in Japanese, anyway. They say down. The piglet's head snapped back and it fell to the floor. Wait, don't you feel like something's off here?
違和感。
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's wrong, I know it. In the time it took me to say that, both Subaru and the piglet hit each other again. Subaru, what am I missing? There's something going on here. They're fighting over that screen, the health gauge is gone, and there's something about the way that piglet moves. It's there. I've almost got it. Okay, it's gonna be another explosive insight, maybe. We've rarely got any hints, though. Oh, what happened there? My controller? Anyway, Weird, I don't know. Or my thing is making noise. Anyway. So, I guess Saki is trying to figure something out? Yeah, we didn't get much hints. Just that maybe in the beginning said something about how, like, our fates are intertwined, maybe. But that just seemed to that just seemed to reference the fact that we split up as a group or something. Well, I need to figure this out. Okay, so in this one, we're fighting over the screen, right? Why are we fighting them in person like we did last time? Are we not supposed to see them? And there isn't a health bar like there was in the last one, but 3 hits were enough to take out even Mitarashi. It's hard to tell who's winning without the health bar. 3 hits was enough to make even Mitarashi pass out, right? But the weirdest thing is how that piglet is moving. It's really rhythmic. It just doesn't seem like a piglet. It's just kind of standing there most of the time, but he dodges easily without much movement. Well, that's not totally true. Those guys before had some pretty fancy footwork. Yoshi had a kind of rhythmic thing to fight his fight earlier. I wonder how the other team is doing. We managed to win before because we worked together, but we've only got 3 people this time. Mitarashi, Wakasa, Urabe, and Miyoshi, I'm worried about them. Mitarashi is pretty strong, Miyoshi has a ninja step, so they should be fine, right? That's what Wakasa called it, I really don't know why. No, I need to focus on this right now. Okay, I think I know what's happening. I get it. Because, you notice how the piglet isn't moving, and moving like rhythmic. It's because it seems like they're saving stamina. And do you know why they would be saving stamina? Probably. The person that Shidou is fighting right now is probably Miyoshi. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure actually. Or maybe they're just copying Miyoshi's tactic. I'm not sure, but that's it. The way he moves is the ninja step. Subaru, stop! I think that's Miyoshi. He spun around, surprised. Hogstein's voice boomed out across the room, and the piglet on the screen suddenly changed to Miyoshi. Shona! It wasn't just Miyoshi. I could see the entire other team on the other side of the monitor. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's a battle royale, you know? You gotta kill each other in order to get the Holy Grail, right? In this case, just get Excalibur. This must be what he meant by testing our bonds. I bit my lip. Well, you see, one of you has to die. Easy. That's horrible. Everyone was silent. If we fought, someone would die. If we didn't fight, then the time would run out and it'd be game over. We've only got 200 seconds left. There's nothing you could do. There's another way, probably. In fact, I think I have the solution in my head right now, but I guess we'll see. This, Subaru had been staring down the floor since Hogstein's revelation, but now suddenly he looked up and met my gaze.
Saki, 俺を信じろ。
What?
調べさん、こっちへ来てくれないか。
He leaned over and whispered something into the other man's ear. What are they talking about?
なんだって
I could hear disbelief in his voice, but also a little bit of fear. Shidou let a long sigh and nodded. He turned back to the screen and drew himself up.
お前ならきっとこの後もクリアできるだろう。俺を倒して進め。
Kill me. Just do it. What are you waiting for? Oh my gosh, is he crazy? He held out his arms, leaving himself completely open. A chorus of voices from the other side of the screen agreed with him. Yes, it'll be a mercy kill. Subaru, you can't do this. It's like your route. If you die now, I won't be able to make out with you later. I know he told me to trust him, but I don't see how he can possibly get out of this alive.
やるんだコウタ。もうあと1分もない。このままでは全員死ぬ。俺を信じるんだ。こうだ。俺たちはチームだ。
You know, she nodded.
互いを信頼し、力を合わせて危機を乗り越える。大丈夫だ。俺を信じろ。
There's only 20 seconds left. Time to murder a man. Subaru! His body twitched once, horribly, then collapsed to the floor in a limp heap. Yay, we did it. So who's gonna be the one gonna drag his corpse out of here? It's gonna start to stink up the place. Gotta bury it somewhere. No! I ran toward him and dropped to my knees. What? Before waiting for me to comply, Shirobei shoved me aside and tore off Subaru's gloves. Okay, take his clothes off. I don't know if there's time for this, Shirobei. I had no idea what was going on, but Shirobei seemed to have a plan.
Saki, 俺を信じろ。
I heard his words echo in my head over and over. I do trust him. We just finished removing Subaru's shirt when Hogstein finally noticed we were up to something. He yanked the electrode from one of the gloves he pulled off and placed it against Subaru's chest. He looked up at Shirobei confused. Okay, I guess we're gonna do some resuscitation. I don't know if this would work in real life, but we're just gonna, you know, basically defib him. Just as ordered, he punched the air and Subaru's body twitched. Shirobei pressed his ear to the unconscious man's chest. For some reason I was gonna read that, but not me. Please, Subaru, some back? Yeah. Come on. Translators. So many typos. Come back, not some back. I squeezed my eyes shut, but...
くそダメなのか
You know, Hogstein could also just turn off the game now. Is the thing, and this wouldn't work anyway, but I guess don't worry about that. No!
誓うよ俺は死なない必ずお前と一緒に生き残るだから何があっても俺を信じてついてきてくれないか
I remember actually making a choice there. I wonder if we get a different dialogue if we chose something else? Maybe, I don't know. You said you wouldn't die. I opened my eyes and looked at him. Okay. Get angry for no reason. Well, not no reason, rather, you know, angry at the fact that he's dead. You'd think he'd be sad, not angry, but he was right, but there wasn't any other way, but the chances of his plan actually working out are almost zero. But he still did it to save the rest of us. He just threw his life away for us. Get frickin' mad. I noticed that her voice is different there. When she said that. It took me a moment to realize the screaming voice I heard was my own. I guess the power of doing that. It seems like that's the joke. Every time she says, you know, what's wrong with you, the other person always apologizes. I guess that's how he came back to life. His eyes fluttered open. Are you okay? Master Wolf? Power Wave? Crack shoot? No, I grabbed his hand and he gave me a weak smile. Every time someone says, are you okay, I just think of Harry Bogart. And of course his shirt is off, so there's some fan service, I guess. That's right, you can't die. Relieved cheers filled the air from both sides of the screen. Oh man, thank goodness. When it looked like he was really going to die, my heart had felt like it was about to crack in half. I guess I just like him a lot. Like, a lot. It's weird because like he's a lot. I don't know how. Again, I don't know how older he is, but he seems like an older individual. I squeezed his hand tighter. There was nothing I could think of saying.
Oi, Bardobu! 確かルールでは生き残ったチームが先に進めるだったな。クリアアナウンスはもう聞いた。そして目押しもスバルも生き残ってる。俺たちは全員で進むぜ。文句はなかろう。
It's quite a loophole. So nah. With a click, his incoherent, angry ranting disappeared.
だいぶ危ない橋を渡ったが、結果オーライだな。
迷惑をかけてすまなかった。
However, Miyoshi, you are now arrested with attempted murder. See you in prison. Subaru started to stand up and I rushed to help him.
ついで本当に最後だ。
Alright, time to pull Excalibur from the stone, which is actually wrong, I think, wasn't it? I think it's Caliburn, right? Caliburn is the sword you pull out of the sword. Excalibur is something that King Arthur actually acquired after becoming king, I think, or something like that, or at least, you know, along his journey. I only know this because of lore from Saber, you know, from Fate Stay Night. Like Caliburn and Excalibur are actually different swords, but they're often mixed up together. You know, people always assume Excalibur is the one that you pull out of the stone, but it's actually not. You know. After leaving the Colosseum of Darkness, we found ourselves in a room dominated by a stone with a sword buried in it. Behind the stone was a throne. So that's Excalibur?
おそらくそうだ。
Sorry, I can't not think of Excalibur and, think of Saber. Like using Excalibur to, slash a giant sword beam at people. At that moment, Miyoshi and his group came in through another door.
よう、さっきはやってくれたじゃねえか。
体はもう大丈夫なのですか？少しの間気を失っていたおかげで休憩ができた。
That's not true. Being unconscious does not give you time to rest at all. Technically, when your body's unconscious, you don't heal, is the thing. It's not the same as sleeping. Anyway, are you serious? We all laughed and grinned, happy to be together.
ようこそ政権の前へ。選ばれし騎士よ、今こそ政権を抜け、王の座を手にするのだ。
どうやらここが最後の部屋のようだな。
ああ、今こそ政権を抜け。
We headed up to the stone and the sword. Up close, it was big. Really big. Can we really get that thing out of there?
どうも、この岩に何か仕掛けがあるようだ。
おい、ちょっと待ってくれ。
As we've been examining, Mitarashi had just gone ahead and grabbed the sword. Did you find something?
この剣、重くてびくともしねえかと思ったが、動くみたいだぜ。
Yeah, you're right. It did look heavy, but when Mitarashi put all his weight against the hilt, it moved a tiny bit.
なあ、みんなで引っ張れや。持ち上げられるんじゃねえのか。
It's gonna be hard to everyone to
そんな簡単にいくかな。
get a grip on the sword, like too many hands.
まあ試してみてもそうはないかも。
Unless maybe you grab the bladed part as well. I don't know, it's like sharp. It hurt your hand.
よし、みんなで抱えるぞ。
We all ranged ourselves around the stone, grabbed the sword, and pulled. Whoa, it's heavy.
ああ、だが、なんとか抜き取れそうな。
After a minute or so of grunting and straining, we managed to lift the sword out of the stone and drop it onto the floor. Okay. That was easy.
栄光の玉座、クリア。
That wasn't hard at all. What? Seriously?
一体何だったんでしょ
Yeah,
う。
that's what I'm
こ
wondering.
の仕掛けは。
Maybe if we didn't have, Shidou around, it would make the puzzle impossible because he would be dead. And Hogstein did not consider that maybe... the idea, I guess, yeah, only one team could survive, technically. So if it was only half a team, half of the entire team, then they wouldn't be able to do it, was the Hogstein's whole plan, I guess. But, that didn't happen. So I wonder what happens if...
は思うが、ワルド部の想定ではここにたどり着くのは多くても4人だったはずだ。
It makes me wonder what happens if, I don't know, maybe another route that actually is the case? Where only half the people actually survive or something? I don't know. Anyway.
7人の力で剣を抜きにかかるなんて想像もしていなかったのかもしれないな。
何それ。最後の最後でこれってワルド部って相当抜けてるね。
まったく拍子抜けだ。
まあ楽でよかったけどね。
ああ、なんかしまんねえな。
We were all grinning.
ゲームステージ7を完全クリア。魔王に謁見する権利を入手しました。
Yeah, I guess that was really it. There's no twist or anything. That was just it. And just like that, we were done with 7 days of deadly games.
さあ、あとはボスを追い詰めるだけだ。
Let's go! We made our way toward the door that shone with brilliant light. As soon as we found ourselves outside of the attraction, Hogstein began to speak. I could hear restrained anger in his voice. Then he hung up. Yeah, this really is like, I don't know how different it is in the other routes. Miyoshi's route was like a complete departure from the expected path, but Shidou's one was like very straightforward actually. We just played all 7 games, really. You know, not a lot of like super twists or anything for the most part, but it's actually pretty, I don't know, I kind of like it because despite how straightforward it is, the fact that you actually get to play the actual games. You know, game like actual gameplay wise, not really, but you know, story wise, we get to play the games. You know, I actually kind of find interesting. We stood at the front of we stood at the foot of Castle Hogstein, and gazed up at the towers that seemed to scrape the sky. Mitarashi's excitement was infectious, and our steps sped up as we headed toward the entrance. The door swung open with a heavy creak. Right. Take out your gun. You know, how many bullets do you have, Shidou? Slowly, carefully, we stepped inside. Now make sure you have enough magazines to put a bullet into Cal Hogstein's head. We've been in the castle once before on the first day, but it felt so long ago. The cage, it's gone. All the hostages, including my uncle, had been in a huge cage in the middle of the room. Where had it gone? He looked dejected. What?
そんなにあっさり
Sure enough, in the distance, I could hear the faint sound of police sirens. Had they already heard the hostages had been released? He charged toward Hogstein, and we followed. We just go, charge! But we slammed into a wall of glass that surrounded the pig's throne. Is he like, I wonder, is he like a hologram? Like Miku Hatsune, you know, in her concerts? It's a big hologram wall, not real. He slammed his fist into the glass, but it didn't even shake. Wait! He leapt up from his throne, spun in place, and then disappeared through the curtains behind it. Well, maybe he is like... I wonder, like, Hogstein seems to be just a hologram for the most part, but maybe he is also like a weird robot thing, you know? Like, whether there's a real person inside there or not, I don't know. But, I don't know. I was gonna shoot the glass. Subaru pulled his gun and took aim at the glass. 3 shots rang out and cracked spiderwebbed across its surface. It's punch glass. He slammed bodily into the glass and it shattered, dropping Mitarashi to the floor. Are you okay? We leapt over the glass and took off after Hogstein, whipping through the curtains. We found ourselves in front of an elevator. It only opened on this floor and the very top of the castle. Currently, it was on the top floor. We hit the call button. Okay, this is probably what happened, like, during Miyoshi's route, you know? In Miyoshi's route, Saki kind of just collapsed and went to the hospital, but I guess this is what happened when she was unconscious.
しかし
Probably.
ワルド部はなぜ屋上に向かったんでしょう。逃げ場がなくなるだけのような。
待たせだな。
Did you get hurt?
おや、ちょっとばかし傷に応えたが、あいつをとっ捕まえないことには夢に出てきそうだからな。
The elevator finally arrived and we all piled into it. Count Hogstein! Okay. He spun around panicked. In his hand was a gun.
抵抗はやめろ。
You telling this to a weird, like, pig creature. Weird. Hogstein's only response was to point the gun at me. What?
よせ。
As he cried out, I heard a gunshot. With nowhere to run, I just stood there, frozen. It felt like time slowed down. Zawarudo. Tokyo tomare. No, is this it? Am I going to die? A whole different sort of fear washed over me. Not the fear of dying, although that was there. This was the horrible, gut-twisting fear of losing someone I cared about. This was the end. I thought it would hurt. Was I in shock? I opened my eyes. Shidou's gun was pointed at Hogstein as I watched the wind tug the wisp of smoke from the end of it. Hogstein's gun was lying in the room, and I could see a trickle of blood coming from the hand that had been holding it. Did Subaru save me? Suddenly my legs gave out and I collapsed. I guess he shot first. He was the faster draw in the west. Yep, now he's beating up a corpse, I guess. He roared and leapt at Hogstein, driving his fist into the pig's stomach and throwing him to the ground. As he spoke, Subaru slapped handcuffs around Hogstein's wrist. Again, I don't know how this would work on a weird pig creature. I could hear the sound of helicopters approaching and the police sirens were getting louder as policemen and reporters rushed into the park. Actually, technically, the police was always here, you know? Shidou, anyway, was a police officer. Hogstein finally stopped struggling and slumped down, defeated. It's over.
Saki!
Subaru! Before I knew what was happening, he thrown his arms around me. Me too, but from you.
おいおい、ラブシーンは家に帰ってからにしてほしいもんだ。
本当ですよ。焼いてほしいんですか？
I guess you'll just have to embrace each other, guys.
なんか面白くないな。
Now, don't worry, Wakasa. We'll do your route eventually.
よかった。
でもまあ、よかったじゃん。みんな生き残ったぜ。一人も欠けることなくな。
Yeah. We all look at one another and smiled. At long last, it was all over. Okay. Did we actually catch Hogstein? Like, I don't know. It seemed like, yeah, Subaru shot Hogstein. He didn't seem to be dead. He looked kind of dead, but I guess he just gave up, really. And there was blood, you know, when he got shot, so maybe there was a person in that costume, maybe? I don't know, I always assumed like it was really short, so I don't know if someone was actually inside that. Morning already? I blinked my eyes open and stretched my arms up as far as I could. It's been 3 months, but sometimes I still think I'm in that hospital. Not hospital. Well, hospital room was in the Meoshi route. I'm in that hotel room when I wake up. Which made a certain sort of sense. After all, it's been an intensive week. Of course, it would have left a lasting impression. Still, it had been 3 months. Once the story broke, it had swept across the country, but for the most part, we've been left alone. Well, they left us alone after Subaru talked to them. Even after we gone out of the park, he hadn't stopped looking out for us. Because of him, we've been able to go back to our lives without being harassed. Unfortunately, my uncle and the rest of the hostages hadn't been so lucky, and I heard there were still TV vans parked outside of his house. Wakasa's gone back to his career, and I hear Miyoshi's picked up a part-time job. Funabe's turned himself in. Mitarashi's back at work, although I heard he's been really getting into video games lately. You know, Mitarashi and Miyoshi are just getting really chummy with each other. Shidou, well, he's still running down leads. Yeah, the mystery about the bus accident is not really solved when you think about it. In the end, the whole thing had remained a mystery. I mean, I never guessed that the person in Hogstein's costume was just a piglet. Unfortunately, that piglet had been as ignorant of what was really going on as we were, and the real Hogstein had escaped. Oh, okay, that's what happened. They swapped the piglet into the costume, and that's why Hogstein, at the time, at least the fake one, didn't really say anything. I thought it was weird. The Hogstein wouldn't say anything at that time, you know, like, ah ha ha, I got you, I'll kill you all, pew pew, you know. Nope, he didn't say anything. Why did he do all of that to us? Who was he? It seemed like he must have been connected to the bus crash in some way, but how, we'd never been able to determine. Later, Subaru had told us that the piglets all turned out to be just normal people. They had been hypnotized or something, and didn't remember anything about what had happened. Okay, that's... look, well, yeah. Well, not exactly what I was thinking, but maybe... like, because I was saying like how they were the employees of the amusement park, but maybe I guess they were just random people in the public that were brainwashed by, you know, Count Hogstein. Somehow? Like, I don't know if you can just do that, but whatever, I guess. He has like super hypnosis technology. Oh geez, look at the time, I need to hurry! I rush through my morning routine and dash out of the house with a toast in my mouth. He'll get all grumpy if I'm late, and besides, I want to see him. What, gonna meet up with, Shidou?
お前と一緒にもう一度ここに来るなんてな。
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing they got the park back up and running at all.
お前のおじさんがだいぶ尽力したそうじゃないか。こんなに早くランドを再開できるなんて大変だったろうな。
It's not all open though. They don't know when they're gonna finish rebuilding the hospital and the Ferris wheel. We held hands as we walked through the park 3 months ago. I never guessed I'd be back, and with him. It was all bad though. I got to meet Subaru. After we got out of the park and back to our lives, we'd started dating.
おっと悪い。ちょっといいか。
Sure.
俺だ。
Even off duty, his phone was always going off. Although as a police detective, in a way, he was never really off duty. I feel like his route has a lot of sympathy, I guess, for the police, you know. Anyway, but he's good using the kind of debut phone strap I gave him. I guess because, you know, it's very biased because you're literally dating a cop. I giggled to myself when I noticed it. He made such a big deal when I gave it to him about how it was silly and he didn't want to put it on his phone, but it made me feel warm inside his seat with him.
確かに非番だが、今忙しいんだ。じゃあな。
He flipped his phone shut and stuffed it into his pocket. The criminals will catch themselves. I'm busy on a date.
さあ、行こうか。
Is what Shidou is thinking. Are you sure? What about that phone call?
ああ。いや、なんてことない。
No, it's just rude.
今のは仕事ではなく、流星のやつだ。
What? Really?
やつはホストだからな。昼間は暇らしくて、しょっちゅう電話してくる。
Oh, well, if he's not doing anything.
まさか、呼ぼうとでも言うのか
Just invite like a third wheel. Why? Would that be bad? He frowned.
ダメだ。
What? Why?
じゃない。じゃん。俺はな、こう見えても案外。
Guess what?
独占欲が強いんだぞ。
Well, in a different context, that would sound creepy. Actually, it would sound like someone's trying to like control you, you know. But whatever, it's like a light-hearted romance, so it's not anything deep like that. He wove his fingers through mine, and again, it depends on the context, I guess.
俺はできるだけお前との時間を大事にしたい。二人きりでな。
Yeah, you and your gamer glasses, forever. I squeezed his hand back. Yi,
好きだ。
Ah. It was just a whisper in my ear, but his words made me gasp. He grinned. I love you too.
ああ、今日は2人で目いっぱい楽しもう。
Me too. As we walked off together underneath a brilliant blue sky, I felt like we could go anywhere, just the two of us. You know, romance-wise, I mean, I don't want to say this as like a bad thing, but it's kind of boring, you know? Saki just ends up being like a very typical damsel in distress. I feel like in a more nuanced romance, I mean not romance, but like, you know, because it seems like Subaru has a bit of a hero complex. It's not really touched upon too much though. It really just plays like a very straight, interpretation of someone who's just a hero. I guess someone who, like, you know, protects someone else and whatever. Gotta Mamoru everyone. Is the idea. And they kind of like, that's it, you know? Look at all these CGs, by the way, that we didn't get. I guess this is the ones you might have gotten early on, before the roots actually branch. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just look at them here, you know? I don't really want to take the time to find all of the CGs, because that would take a lot of time, I feel like. It's already enough to do all the routes, I feel like, as well. At least look at them here, you know, the ending song. Is the ending song different? I don't remember. We only went through the credits like, 3 times technically to include a bad end. Which I guess I'll do as well, just to see what it is. I mean, it'll be kind of like a bummer, actually, just to go from a good ending to a bad ending. Usually I want to do the opposite. I often like to do bad ending and then good ending. I guess we ended up with a good ending, I guess. Mooch. Lips never touch, by the way. At least so far. It's always like before the lips touch. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird when we have to like romance Shirabe in particular. He seems like the oldest out of everyone. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but I gotta, you know, see all the routes. You're not doing all the routes and you're missing out on content, is all I'm saying. And like a game that's basically a visual novel, you might as well see all the content. At least in terms of like the main story. Which, by the way, in Shidou's route, it seems like, yeah, it just kind of plays very straightforward, as I said before. From beginning to end, you know, there's a deadly games, you go through all of them, and through the power of friendship, we made it through, you know? Very vanilla story. I imagine if there was only one route, you know, if this was like focused on a mystery game and there's not like a otome aspect, then that would definitely be like a canon kind of like story, I guess. Anyway, let's go back to the diary real quick, just to see what it looks like if we did the bad end, you know? So, if we had like 0 affection somehow, Shidou, I wonder what happens. Do we just die or something? I wonder. Maybe. Maybe there's some trauma about Shidou's like inability to protect anyone that resurfaces because we get shot or something, I wonder. I mean, is this part the same, maybe? Count Hogstein. Okay, this seems different, so I'm probably gonna try to press skip, so I imagine this dialogue's technically different. He spun around, panic, his hand over his gun. Hogstein's lone response was to point the gun at me. Nani? As he cried out, I heard a gunshot. With nowhere to run, I just stood there frozen. Yeah? Am I going to die? Whole different sort of fear. Da-da-da-da-da-da. This was the end. I thought it would hurt. Was I in shock? Meoshi? He pulled me aside at the last minute. I twisted my head around. In the wall right behind where I'd been standing was a neat bullet hole. Okay, this time Meoshi saved us. And Mitarashi, we now know it's just a piglet, so he's just hitting a random person. I can hear the sound of helicopters approaching. Seems to go the same way, except this time Shidou did not shoot first. I guess, you know, it's kind of like in Han, in Star Wars, like whether or not Han Solo shot first. Anyway, it's over.
Saki!
Shidou. He looked at me for a long moment, then turned away. I froze up. I couldn't shoot, like the cop that I am. Obviously, cops should always just shoot immediately. If I don't shoot, that means I'm a bad cop. Everyone else was smiling and congratulating one another, but Subaru just walked away. What did he mean? I felt sad. It was over and we won, but for some reason I couldn't bring myself to feel happy. If I don't just shoot people immediately, that means I'm not a real cop. I guess I should just get a career change. This is what Shidou's thinking in this ending. Alright, morning already. Been 3 months. This is the same, I think. I heard Subaru did something to get them off for collecting backs. Well, being harassed. Uncle's not so lucky. Everyone is back to normal. In the end, the whole thing remained a mystery. There was a piglet in the costume. Who was he? A scratch. I guess I that word. Hypnotized. I wonder how Subaru's doing. After that final day at the park, I hadn't heard from him again. That's it? Oh no, there's more. It's funny. It'd be funny if that was it, just cuts and that's it. What? Which was technically the correct thing to do though, because that wasn't Hogstein, that was just an innocent person. Actually, in the good ending, you shot an innocent person. And yet you got away with it. I don't know. Cops. Well, I don't blame you. Anyone could have frozen up in that situation. I guess he didn't like. I guess the best thing to do was to at least move her out of the way. Oh gosh, I still got misty when I just think about it. I think he felt he failed me and failed himself, and being around me just reminded him of that failure. I still care for him, but I respect how he feels. I don't want to hurt him any more than he already is. Nonetheless, even if I knew what the right thing was, actually doing it was much harder. I need to cheer up. It's funny because I guess the moral of the story is the right thing to do is to shoot, but the game of tournament was finally being reopened, and I made plans to go with Mitorashi, Wakasai, Meoshi. It's a very American way of thinking. That's America. Just shoot. I think they all worried about me. I wasn't fair to them though, and I knew it. Ironically, because it's not like this is a Japanese game, not an American game. I wiped away my tears and shook my head. I was going to go to the park and have a good time, forget about all the things that were making me sad. Someday, all of this will just be a memory. I finished getting ready and headed out. Yes. Go on a date with ourselves at the amusement park. Hooray. So there you go, that's the bad ending. I just wanted to see what it's about. It's slightly different, so I just want to see that. Again, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth after getting the good end, technically. That's fine. Whatever. It's just a little interesting thing. I just want to see the little extra scenes. It's just interesting to think about. There you go, that's the Shidou's route. So we did Meoshi, Shidou, 2 down, and 5 to go. This is a lot of route. So I guess we'll start the next one right now. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. So starting at stage 3, who's the next one? Who's the next one on our list? It's actually Wakasa. Okay. I even said, like, we're gonna go through his route pretty soon, I guess, right now. That's what we're gonna do. Wakasa. We're gonna date the famous pop idol, I guess.